Hey, welcome back to another great episode of Screw the W2. And today's guest I have on Nick Giulioni. I hope I pronounced that right. But he had a really interesting story. This is actually, I listened to, I don't know, I can't remember when it was on Billy Keel's podcast, and just very interesting story, shall we say. So I thought Nick would be a great guest to bring on the show. Nick, thanks for coming on and spending time with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, you bet. So maybe just kind of a starting point. Can you take us back, way back, so to speak? What was your, I don't know, W-2 job? What was kind of like a normal day for you, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. I had an awesome job. I actually worked in tech sales. So
Oh,
I
okay.
would sell some of the coolest tech out there in the world, all the gaming stuff that all of the nerds like myself are really into, like Razer mice, Corsair keyboards. I would go and sell those products to large companies. My last job, actually, before I left the W2 world, was in one of the coolest companies in the world to work for. A little bit of controversy around it. I actually worked for Facebook, and
Ah,
I would
now it's
sell
meta.
yeah, well, it was Facebook when I worked there.
Right.
Yeah. And so I would actually sell the Oculus headsets. I ran their
Okay.
direct to consumer sales. So it was a really cool job. Pretty standard, nine to really, let's be honest about it. It was more like 8 to 6
Yep.
type of time frame. But overall, really cool job. Wake up in the morning, get a little sweat on, hit the gym, and then walk the dogs, head over to the office, and sell. And I was traveling across the country quite a bit.
Okay.
One year, I think my biggest year, I had 170,000 miles. So it was
Wow.
definitely out of the home a decent amount.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So, and now, I mean, you can share as much as you like, so to speak, but obviously, someone probably hearing this is like, wow, you worked at Facebook. Why are you not still there? Why are you, not selling more headsets and stuff? What was kind of maybe the turning point, or what was I got to get out of here moment, or what was kind of that shift of I have this great job, I have an awesome job to I need to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope I'm going to break format a little bit here if you're okay with it.
No,
I
that's
actually have two
for me.
moments,
Okay.
two moments that really talk to why I ended up leaving.
Okay.
The first was about 6 years ago, actually.
Okay.
I was working for a company, and you can go look back at my my LinkedIn to figure out which company that was. And had an absolutely terrible boss. He was the kind of boss that motivated by yelling. And
Know that
there was,
feeling.
yeah, absolutely terrible. And there was an issue where he publicly and in front of the whole US office said that if I didn't go do something that was illegal, he would find somebody who would. Now, what he was asking for wasn't going to hurt anybody. He was
Wow.
asking me to price fix, which happens all the time in this industry, but it
Yeah.
is the kind of thing that could end up with me having a whole lot of legal implications.
Yeah. You, not him, the one
Yeah,
that's yelling at you.
absolutely. And so you know what? He was effective. I got creative in this situation. I found another way that wasn't illegal to do what he was trying to get accomplished.
Okay.
And in doing so, I had to beg for my job from my buyer, my friend. And I knew in that moment that if that ever happened again, I needed to be able to give this guy the middle finger and walk out the door.
Yep.
Um, and so that's, when I started kind of figuring out my strategy, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But the second time this happened was more recently. It was actually right towards the end of 2021. There
Okay.
was a restructuring happening at Meta. My boss got moved out, and I got replaced with somebody else. She wanted to bring in her own people, so she created a new level above me
Mm.
just to essentially basically replace me.
Yeah.
And when this entire thing went down, despite objectively being a top performer, she was basically demoting me.
Mm.
And I respectfully, since I had the power, I had built my business, built a side hustle. I respectfully was able to say no, that wasn't going to work for me, and she retaliated in a performance cycle when we were going through and getting bonuses. And I have the best ride or die wife in the entire world, because I'm sitting here literally in this exact same spot as I'm listening to, despite objectively performing very highly, her telling me that I didn't meet expectations and that my
Mm.
bonus was going to be pretty poor. And she was really being unkind. And so I'm sitting here, and thankfully I'm on the Mac. I get all my texts and everything on my computer. And my wife walked by, and I just get this text from her that says, "F her, quit." And so
Wow.
um, Yeah, and it wasn't F. And so the next day I turned in my notice. So those were kind of the two moments that were really the impetus to me jumping out and doing my own thing.
Wow, interesting. Now I'm just curious because this kind of reminds me of a similar story with the boss that I had when she texted the F her quit. Was it a screen share like WebEx where your boss saw that message, or hopefully that was hidden, or
Yeah, thankfully we weren't screen sharing. So
gotcha. Okay.
she didn't get to see that one. But you know what? It'd be all right if she did.
Yeah, so yeah, I had one yeah, I had a similar boss, and it was actually the director who, long story short, he was childhood friends with the CEO of the company. So, that was his application and qualifications right there. And I was having a meet with my boss, and he is like, "Oh, I'll join in." Okay, fine, whatever. And it's a screen share that my boss is showing like spreadsheets, my sales, etc. And then up in the corner, there's a little chat box that pops up, and Mr. Wonderful is like, "This sucks. This is painful to watch. Why?" I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was basically directed at me. And I'm looking at this like, do I say anything?
Yeah.
So
At that
it's
point, you
like,
just don't acknowledge.
well, it's like, how dumb can you be? We are sharing a screen. The message is going to show up on the screen. But yeah, that's a whole nother story. So wow.
Yeah.
So you got these yeah, two instances. You basically have to do, I don't, not illegal, but basically maybe unethical, or maybe just selling because you're threatened, and then you're not meeting quote expectations. So as we're kind of moving along, was that once the pivotal point was there, what were, obviously we know how you felt, but you turned in your resignation, and then what was your next steps? You said you had already built a side hustle. Is that correct? Or
Yeah. So after the first time this happened, I knew that I needed to find out something different, some other way
Mhm.
of supporting my family, because I clearly couldn't count on my W-2
Yep.
to be a security blanket. So I did all the research you could possibly imagine. I listened to my 10,000 hours of podcasts. I listened to
Yep.
all the books, read all the books. I began calling and learning from people that were investing in real estate. That was the thing that I decided I was going to go do. And I didn't necessarily get buy-in from that ride or die wife. But I ended up going out and purchasing a turnkey property out
Okay.
here in Indianapolis that then spurred on everything else that I was going to go do. But yeah, essentially just used my next step was to do research and learn all that I could around investing in real estate, creative finance,
Mhm.
doing rehabs, things like that to try and drive additional revenue for myself.
Cool. All right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I always say I had this side hustle. Were you, when you gave your resignation, were you, shall we say, at a comfortable level? Like, hey, my real estate investments cover my W-2 job, or was it still like, well, I have this extra income, but now I don't have my W-2. I really need a hustle or get some more rentals or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it was enough to cover our expenses, but
Okay.
not enough to have me sitting on a beach for the rest of our lives, in the way
Darn.
that in the way that we could. At the end of the day, though, that's not the kind of person I am. I couldn't ever just put my feet up and relax. I'm the kind of person I'm always in motion. I'm either
Mm.
typing or I am moving around the house doing something productive. Yeah, I always knew that there was going to be additional revenue that I was going to make after I quit, and have been able to go do that. But I mean, if you really look back at the growth trajectory, I bought one in 2017, I bought 10 in 2018, I bought 20 in
Wow.
2019, 24 in 2020, 28 in 2021. On track to hit like 30 or 40 this year, depending on how things go. So
Wow.
yeah, it was never the thing that was holding me back actually was the time I was investing in my W-2, not
Mm.
necessarily the capital wasn't actually that helpful in the grand scheme of things.
Sure. Okay. And then I'm guessing with the, for anyone listening to this, geez, you went from one to, double digits. Are these all single family homes? Are they multifamily, a mix?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mix.
Okay.
Everything that I own is 4 units or smaller, so it would be considered the residential multifamily,
Gotcha.
or the
Okay.
small residential. And yeah, so using a variety of different strategies. I did the Burr strategy for anybody who's not familiar. That's the buy, rehab, rent,
Hmm.
refinance, repeat. That's a good way of reducing the amount of capital that it actually takes to acquire a property. Fantastic approach.
Okay.
I'd used seller financing as well quite a bit
Mm,
to grow my portfolio very quickly. And I used just I was the most creative person in the room, is what it came down to, and
gotcha.
solved people's problems, and was able to pick up a lot of properties.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, because I've been thinking, and I've had on my separate podcast, a lot of people know, like, well, you get loans and you're capped out at 10 loans. That means you can only get 10 properties. It's like, well, no, there's other ways to get around that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and they're not wrong. That 10 of a specific type of loan, and then you're able
yeah,
to go get creative and do other stuff.
exactly. So, all right.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've grown this just quick off the top of my head, then same as between 80 and 100 units, if I quick add that in my head correctly, or am I?
In that general ballpark, I've sold a lot of those over the years,
Okay,
and done trade in, trade ups. And we can talk
gotcha.
about some of the cool stuff that I've been able to pull off from that. But yeah, I think we're sitting somewhere around 60 units right now.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
All right. Sounds
yeah.
good. Now the probably the other question too, and maybe you obviously handed in your resignation letter, but what was your freedom day per se, where I no longer have a W-2, no one's telling me when to clock in, when to clock out, I need permission for vacation, etc.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, the day that I turned in my notice, I would consider that my freedom day, because I did not work 40 hours that week. Let
Sure.
me tell you that. So that was March 3rd of 2022. My
Okay.
last day actually with Facebook Meta, whatever we're calling it,
Yeah.
is March 25th.
And by the time this publishes, and by the time our listeners are listening to this, it could be the I don't know, Avatar, or who knows what they're going to rename it at that point. So
Yeah, yeah, they're doing some cool stuff. Who
yeah,
knows? We could lean into the whole metaverse thing.
yeah, exactly. So, all right. Any regrets or anything you particularly missed from your W-2 job or your W-2 days, so to speak?
Yeah, if I didn't have my wife in a job that she loves, benefits might still be a little bit of a challenge.
Mm,
We could figure it out, but that would have been a little tough. I'll tell you, I've had to build my own team
okay.
here. I've got a variety of different employees that work with and for me. Uh, Unfortunately, though, like that, you're not surrounded by a ton of incredibly smart, like-minded people in your same sphere of life. So you have to kind of
Mhm.
go out and build your own network. So I'd say that's something I miss a little bit.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, no, there's not a whole lot I miss.
Sure.
I like being able to go out and eat what I kill.
Gotcha. No, makes sense. So, what's been the since leaving the W-2 job to now being full time, entrepreneur, real estate investor, etc. What's been the best part of your journey?
Oh yeah. So my new boss, turns out he's a real dick.
Okay.
That being this guy. So at first I really struggled with balancing my schedule. I just said yes to everything. But what I'll tell you has been the coolest part, over the last several months, is realizing that I can say no.
Mhm.
Saying, hey, this is a project that there's no boss that's telling me I have to do this. Like, I'm making the decision to do this
Right.
or not do it. So that's been something that's really cool. I've met so many incredible people over the last several years, and have been able to lean into this over the last 6, 7 months or so. And so I would say that the ability to up level some of my network has been really cool. I've retaken control of my destiny. Like I said, I eat what I kill at this point. I think
Mhm.
that's a lot of positive, a lot of negative as well, but definitely a lot of positive. And I get to spend as much time with my two golden retrievers as I want. Like, if decide in the middle of the day that I want to go take a walk, I go take a walk with these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that it's just really driving your own destiny is kind of the
Mhm.
coolest thing.
Agreed. Yeah, I think so many out there are like, oh, I need more money. I need financial freedom, so to speak. But I think at the end of the day, just having that time freedom to, make your own schedule, make your own plans without, asking for permission, I think is probably the best thing. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Now, anyone, maybe, someone listening to this is, oh gosh, my boss is kind of a dick, or gee, I'm at this company, I can 100% empathize with all this, but for whatever reason, they feel stuck in their job. Maybe like you mentioned, your wife has a full time job with benefits. Maybe they are the primary breadwinner. Like, well, gosh, if I leave, my health insurance is gone, my disability, my FSA, HSA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are all gone. What would you say to those people that feel like they are stuck, that they can't make that leap to leave the W-2 job?
Yeah, there's always a reason to not
Okay.
do something. There's always a reason to be apathetic. There's always a reason to stay put. I think what's really important for everybody is to identify your why. Why are you looking to make a move? What would you do with that time? Really sit down and focus on what your vision of what your life could be if you were to make a change, if you were
Okay.
to take control of your future and weigh those benefits there. Because like I said, there's always a reason to stay, but there could be something absolutely beautiful out there for you to go tackle if you actually go do it. Like, what is the thing that would get you up in the morning if you didn't have that W-2? Focus on that and then seek help. Talk to people like you, John. Talk
Mhm.
to people like me that are doing this. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are tons of people like the two of us out there that can tell you exactly how to do the stuff that we've done over the years and get out of that rat race.
Yeah.
There are people like you out there, and all of us are kind of out here willing to help. We all
Mhm.
want to see everybody be successful.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I'm a big believer. There's plenty of pie out there to eat. All rising tide lifts all boats. And I think probably the biggest thing, whether it's, call it mentorship, call it coaching, whatever you want, the other added benefit of talking, someone talking to you, someone talking to me, it's like, hey, this is what I did. It may or may not work for you, but learn from all my mistakes. So here's this 2 year block of time where you or I did this, whatever horrible fix and flip, made this huge mistake, whatever the case may be. Hey, instead of wasting 2 years of your life doing that, learn from our mistakes and you just jump right ahead. So I think it's kind of a leapfrog at that point. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, learn from our mistakes. We've
mhm.
made very costly ones. I've made six-figure mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't make those same ones.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to 6 figure mistakes. I made some 5 figure mistakes. It's like, well, live and learn. So, well,
Yeah.
as we wrap this up, Nick, I'm just gonna, hand Mike completely over to you. This will be kind of the soapbox moment, so to speak. What are you working on? Where can people learn about you, find out about you? What are you excited about in 2023, or anything else you want to mention out there?
Man, let me tell you, I am the luckiest son of a gun in the world. Yeah, having quit my job, I've been able to do a lot of cool things. Just purchased a wedding venue down in Bloomington. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's down where Indiana University is. If you want to
Oh,
look it
sure.
up, it's called thewildsvenue.com. Absolutely beautiful. Doing a lot of cool development there. We're putting houses and stuff on the property on top of that to get rentals. So something I'm really excited about. Continuing to do all of our fix and flips. We've raised a membership and a fund out here to do that. So that's been really successful. And then I'll tell you the last piece that I've just so enjoyed. I didn't have the time to do it when I was a W-2 employee, but one of the things that I'm starting to do now is do some coaching for
Okay.
people. And so we've got a coaching program that we launched up. We've had now about 25 people go through it, and we've had about a 70% conversion rate. And what I mean by that is
Wow.
70% of the people who've actually done the coaching have actually purchased a property within that period and are
Nice.
kind of taking that next step towards financial independence. So that's been something that, let me tell you, is the most rewarding thing in the world. For me,
Mhm.
buying a house today, not all that rewarding anymore. It's kind of rote. But whenever I see one of my students do that, let me tell you, that gets me up. Like, I'm
Mhm.
so gosh darn excited. I'll shout out my buddy Ed. He just purchased, I think he's got two to purchase this week. Absolutely crushing it. Got lots of
Nice.
other incredible students that are doing amazing work. So for those of you who want to chat with me, my email is nick@offleashinvestments.com. Off leash investments after my two golden retrievers. Or you can follow us on offleashinvestments.com, Facebook, Instagram, off leash investments. Definitely excited to chat with anybody who might want help taking that next step towards the financial freedom.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for sharing that and willing of your time and expertise. I think that's, for me too. I always kind of like those people that take action versus I know some people, not to name names, but it's like 4 or 5 years later. No, I'm still listening to podcasts. I'm still reading books, but I haven't bought that first property. I'm like, well, you're not going to get anywhere just by reading and listening to podcasts. You got to make action at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Information is only useful if it's implemented.
Exactly. Sounds good. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Nick. Thanks for coming on the show and hope to have you back at a later time.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.